Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli back with another review video, and for this one, gonna be reviewing another one of my all-time favorite Disney animated feature films. Now, of course, you know, number one being The Great Mouse Detective, number two, The Nightmare Before Christmas, number three, Robin Hood. Number four, Zootopia. Number five, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Number six, The Lion King. Number seven, Beauty and the Beast. Number eight, The Jungle Book. Number nine, The Little Mermaid. Number 10, Wreck-It Ralph. Number 11, The Emperor's New Groove. Number 12, Aladdin. Number 13, The Aristocats. And now, for number 14, it's The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Yes, that's right. Winnie the Pooh. And with The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it actually is number one of those Disney films that's actually a package film. Because... And I know I stated this, like, in my review of Cinderella, because, like, during the 1940s, Disney was only doing, like, package films because of the war, basically. And another thing is that, putting films together, from Make My Music, if I'm saying that right, Fun and Fancy Free, like in that, like you have the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and the Giant, and Edgar Bergen, he was like one of the main stars of the film, and The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, the story of Mr. Toad and the story of Sleepy Hollow put into one. So, and it wasn't until, like, when, the 1950s, Disney got back to doing animated features, starting with Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland. But, but with The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, with it being a package film, okay, they were at first, short films, with 3 short films, the first one, okay. Talk about the short films and such, and the film itself, at the same time, if you get what I mean. So The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the first act of the film, and, thus being the first Winnie the Pooh short film, Pooh and the Honey Tree. Yeah. The Pooh and the Honey Tree, because Pooh is trying to get some honey. He's out of honey. And he attempts to, fly like a bee, with the balloon, I shall fly like a bee up to the honey tree, see? And, he turns into a little black, rolls around the mud, and, Christopher Robin asks, what are you supposed to be? And Pooh, I'm a little black rain cloud, of course. And, I'm just a little black rain cloud, of course, I have to mention, the songs of Winnie the Pooh, fantastic, and done by the Sherman Brothers, of course, because they have done so many great songs, yes, and Pooh, he gets honey at Rabbit's place, but he gets stuck in Rabbit's front entrance, of Rabbit's home, the front entrance of Rabbit's home, to put it that. So, has to wait until he loses some pounds, and he's able to budge and get out of there. And at the end, flies out of the honey tree after trying to heave ho in that song, and Rabbit runs and there he goes, and Gopher, suffer and sassafras, he's sailing clear out of the book, quick, turn the page, lands into another tree with bees and full of honey, as we see in the inside of the tree, Don't worry, Pooh will get you down. No hurry, take your time. There's enough honey. I'm a Pooh Bear. And then we come to the second act of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, thus being Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. I think that might be my favorite my favorite part of the film, and maybe short film. Well, I don't know. I mean, okay, yeah. Part of the film and the short film. I mean, so much going on, basically. At the beginning, very blustery day, and according to the narrator, the East Wing and the West Wing decided to change places, you know. I think that's how the narrator says. And oh yeah, speaking of the narrator, you know, one of the final like film projects or whatever, you know, and Disney that is for, you know, the great Sebastian Cabot, you know, best known for what's his face, you know, he did the voice of in The Sword and the Stone, and best known for being the voice of Bagheera in The Jungle Book. So yeah, and of course best known for being the narrator, of course, for the narrator for Winnie the Pooh, that is. For the Winnie the Pooh films and the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, that is. And so, yeah, and that scene with Piglet and, like, being flown in the sky, Pooh holding on tight, hang on tight, Piglet, and Pooh wishing everybody a happy Wednesday, because that came from Gopher, because it's Wednesday, and I shall wish a happy Wednesday to my dear friend Piglet. And, you know, the wind carries them, and, like, you know, he says Happy Wednesday to the others, make their way into Owl's house. The wind's blowing so hard it causes Owl's house, well, the branch holding on to his house, to timber, basically. That's basically it. So, like, Eeyore goes off to find a new house for Owl. And then, later in the night, obviously, we, of course, get the introduction to Tigger. Yes, everybody loves Tigger. Who doesn't love Tigger? I love Tigger. Like Tigger and such, and his catchy and best song, The Wonderful Thing About Tiggers, you know, is Tiggers are wonderful things. Paul Winchell, fantastic. You know, he was definitely the voice of Tigger. I think both him and Jim Cummings, the pure voice for Tigger. So, you know. Yeah. And Tigger warns Pooh about the heffalumps, you know, heffalumps and woozles. And then, also, of course, you know, later on, afterwards, Tigger leaves, you know, once again singing his song. And then, of course, Pooh, like, kind of, like, marching around and, like, talking to himself, talking to his reflection in the mirror, basically, you know, you go that way and I'll go this way. You didn't see anything, did you? Neither did I. It's like, throughout the night, you know, the storm was coming in, kept marching until, you know, as the narrator says, until at last, Pooh fell fast asleep and began to dream. And thus, the Heffalumps and Woozles song, and that crazy dream of Pooh's, you know. It's another great song, too, the Heffalumps and Woozles. And so, of course, you know, when the nightmare, basically, it is Pooh's nightmare. When the nightmare comes to an end, you know, he wakes up to the storm and his, you know, the inside of his tree, well, basically, like, well, most of the Winnie the Pooh characters, like, some of their, like, houses were part of the tree, or, like, Tigger's house and Owl's house, they're on top of tree branches, you know. So, like, the inside of Pooh's house floods, and, you know, the entire 100-acre wood is flooding. And so, you know, another song, the rain, rain, rain came down, 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 rushing, rising piglets. And so everybody comes to Christopher Robin's house because he was the only one that his place was the only thing that was not being flooded, you know, couldn't reach up to, etc. Pooh and Piglet, they're out in the water and such, you know. But, you know, Owl, he just knowing Owl because of his speeches and everything else, you know. And even when they come up to the waterfall, begging your pardon, Owl, but I think we're heading right for a waterfall. Please, no interruptions. And so, you know, Pooh becomes a hero saving Piglet, you know, they have a party. Eeyore finds a house for Owl, and it's Piglet's house. Piglet gives his house to Owl, and Piglet becomes a hero and such, so it's a two-hero party, basically, you know, as Pooh asks Christopher Robin, you know, could you throw a party for two? You know, however he said it. And so we come to the third and final act of the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and with it being also the third short film of Winnie the Pooh short film, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. And so, like, you know, because Tigger's bouncing, you know, just getting a little too out of hand for Pooh and the gang. Well, mostly Rabbit, that is. Like, Pooh and Piglet, they don't seem that bad about it, or if you get what I'm saying, but mostly Rabbit, you know. And so, like, you know, Rabbit's plan to get rid of Tigger and such doesn't really work out later on, you know. I mean, eventually, because Rabbit, Pooh, and Piglet, they get lost in the mist, and, like, Rabbit tells Pooh and Piglet to wait where they are at this, sand pit. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Well, sand pit, whatever, you know. You guys can correct me if you want to. And so, you know, Pooh and Piglet make their way out. Tigger stumbles upon them, you know, hey, fellows, where have you been? You know, we've been trying to find our way out in the mist, and, where is old Long Ears anyway? He must still be lost in the mist, and Tigger goes off to find Rabbit. Rabbit, you know, his mind messes with him because of the noise and everything, you know. But Tigger finds him, you know, and, you know, Rabbit, Tigger, you were supposed to be lost. Oh, shucks. Tiggers never get lost. Never get lost. Of course not. Oh, no. And like, come on, Rabbit, hold on. You know, they go off and such. And then, I guess, you know, it comes in the next chapter, and later on, I guess, you know, it's winter time, snowy, and Roo and Tigger going out to play and such. One part, because Tigger, you know, trying to ice skate, but he kind of slips and runs into Rabbit, and, like, Tigger goes sliding under some snow. Rabbit, like, skis right into his house, crashing, you know. Why does it always have to be me? Why, oh, why, oh, why? You know, and Tigger, like, Tiggers don't like ice skating, you know. Yeah, that's what he said. And, like, Roo asks Tigger, I bet you can climb trees, huh, Tigger? Climb trees? Well, that's what Tiggers do best, you know? Only Tiggers don't climb trees, they bounce, basically. They bounce, so, you know. And, like, bounces up the tree. I almost said climb. And as I said, he bounces up the tree, and he's, you know, how did this tree get so high? And he's afraid of heights, basically. And, like, Pooh, Piglet, they find Tigger and Roo in the tree, and word gets out to Christopher Robin. Rabbit comes in, and so does Kanga, you know. Roo gets down, and Tigger refusing to get down. Like, you know, Tiggers don't jump, they bounce. And Pooh, they then bounce down. Oh, don't be silly. Tiggers only bounce up, you know, and Tiggers can't climb. Oh, their tails get in the way. And, like, the narrator offers to help Tigger, you know, like, the narrator basically tilts the book. Tigger lets go of the tree, and then the narrator tilts the book just a bit and has him slide down, you know. And sliding down, that's not too bad. He's on the ground, he's happy, you know, I'm so happy you promised, you know, because he said, you know, because he wouldn't bounce if he got down. And so, you know, he promised he wouldn't bounce, you know. This is mostly Rabbit, okay? The other, Pooh and the gang, and especially Christopher Robin, you know, they don't mind Tigger's bouncing, but Rabbit, you know. Yeah. Don't you guys feel that, you know, if you were one of those people just like, oh my, what is wrong with you, Rabbit, you know? And, like, shouldn't the Pooh characters have said, well, they kind of did, you know, as, you know, they turned to Rabbit, you know, because they said that they like his bouncing. They turn, and Kanga says, you know, don't you agree, Rabbit? You know? Like, they were getting to him, so, you know, oh, okay, I guess I like the old Tigger, however he said it. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, you know, and, oh boy, you mean I can have my bounce back? You know? And, of course, they all bounce, and Tigger once again singing his song, and then come to the last chapter, you know, saying goodbye, etc., and Pooh, goodbye, oh no, can we please go back to chapter 1 and do it all over again? And the narrator, sorry, Pooh, but all stories have an ending, you know, and Pooh, oh, bother. And so, you know, mentioning of Christopher Robin going to school, and Pooh and the gang learning about ABCs, or learning a place called Brazil, yeah, and as the narrator says. And, like, one last scene, you know, where Christopher Robin and Pooh talk and such, you know, and as they walk off, one last bit of narration from the narrator, that is Sebastian Cabot, you know, and a bear will be waiting for you by that tree, or however he says. Book closes, the Pooh plush, you know, right there, he winks, yeah, and the words "the end" come up, and boom, The movie ends, it fades to black, etc., and that's it. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it is a definitely, I think it's pretty obvious that it's another one of Disney's gems, you know, one of their gems, if you get what I'm saying. You know, and hey, taking those 3 Winnie the Pooh short films, putting them to one and making it a feature film, not too bad. And of course, obviously, because The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it did really good, you know. And as I say, you know, it's really good, and I can assume as though it's another one of their gems, you know. And The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, well, I give it 10 out of 10 stars, pretty much, obviously. I mean, of course, 10 out of 10 stars. And, you know, because I remember, like, because, you know, out of all the 3 short films, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, that won an Oscar and such. And, like, I remember watching this on YouTube, like, Wooly Reitherman, you know, who took over some of the, I guess, animation films or whatever for Walt. You know, he gave a small speech about Walt and such, you know, memory of him or whatever. And yet, Walt, you know, Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree and the Blustery Day were like the last 2 Winnie the Pooh short films that Walt had produced, you know. For Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, well, I mean, you know, Wooly Reitherman and the other Disney animators, you know. And that was in the 1970s. I think in 1974. Yeah, I think that's when it was. Yeah, it was. But anyway, so yeah. Once again, Winnie the Pooh, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, 10 out of 10 stars. And you guys let me know what you think of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I love it. And as I said, I think it's another one of Disney's gems. Obviously, I don't see why not. It's great. It's Disney cult classic, obviously. So again, 10 out of 10 stars for The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of me reviewing The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, my number 14 favorite Disney animated feature film. More new review videos coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward. And I'll see you guys in the next video/review video. Take care, peace out, and TTFN. Ta-ta for now. Hoo-hoo-hoo.